I'm here at last year's compost pile, and I'm getting some handfuls from the bottom of the oldest compost that I have so that I can make a lovely compost tea. Compost tea is compost on steroids. It takes all of the good bacteria that you find in compost. Oh, this isn't sticking at all. Oh, that one maybe. And you aerate it so that there gets a lot more of the bacteria than you would normally have in compost. And then you can put it everywhere in your garden. Right now I am making compost tea to feed to my trees as a soil drench. So instead of spraying the leaves of the trees, I'm just letting it soak into the soil really well. And this should boost the microbial life in the soil a lot, which is one of the most important things about having a happy and fertile garden. I have right here an aquarium aerator, and then I have the tubes for this aerator stuck with, got a bunch of suction cups in the bottom of the bucket. The bucket has to be clean and dry for the suction cups to work. And the aerator will force air through the tubes, and they will come and they will bubble up through the compost, and they will make more bacteria and more fungi and more other good stuff for the garden, make it all stronger. So I'm going to put the bag in here. See, I want it kind of high up. I want it right over the bubblers, so to make sure that the stuff that's in the compost is getting out and it's not just bubbling somewhere else in there. I don't know if it matters, but it seems to make sense to me. Right, and now I'm adding the water. I'm pouring it over the compost just to make sure it gets wet all the way through and doesn't end up with a dry spot or less useful. Again, I don't know if it matters. I'm just doing my best to have a happy, healthy garden. Seems like it's sticking pretty well to the bottom though. See, it's a lovely brown color. Yay! I'm going to let this sit for about 24 hours. Actually, probably a little longer for this batch because tomorrow's Easter and we're not going to be home. But I will probably empty this out on Monday morning into the garden, into the buckets for watering the trees. I brought the compost tea inside because when I made some last night, it froze over and some of the suction cups came up and it was too cold for me to put my hands in to try and fix it. It helps the bacteria to be warmer, just like with your food. If you keep your food at room temperature, that gets more bacteria. In the summer though, I'll just leave it outside because I don't want to bring it inside and chance getting it spilled everywhere. Hi, I'm going to make some slow tree waters. I have a drill bit that's 1/8 of an inch in size, and I'm just going to drill a hole in the bottom of each of these. I'm going to go put these by the trees where I want them, and then I'm going to mix up the stuff I'm going to put in to water the trees. I'm going to water this apple tree. I'm putting it uphill of the apple tree and about 1.5 feet away from it. I'm going to put 1/2 teaspoon of concentrated soluble mycorrhizal fungi. I have no idea if I said that right or not. It doesn't sound quite right. In each of these buckets, I want to get the fungi to the bottom of the roots so that they grow better. So I'm going to put 1/2 teaspoon in each. Last night I started a batch of compost tea from my old compost. I'm going to put 1/2 of this bucket in each of the buckets to water the trees. So here's the compost tea. Putting about 1/2 of it in that one. I'm doing 1/2 compost tea and 1/2 water, not because compost tea is too strong to use on plants, but because I have a lot of trees on the property that I'd like to water over the next week or so with compost tea to get nice bacteria and fungi going. So compost tea takes about 24 hours to make. I did this one for a little bit less because I was impatient to get it in the garden. But at 5 gallons a bucket, it would take twice as long to make 5 gallons of compost tea for everybody. So here I am in my colony rabbit house, so they all live together. And I knew one of the does had babies because she was super fat, and then she became less fat, but I hadn't seen any evidence of babies. But here we have babies! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe? 7 baby bunnies. They don't have their eyes open yet. Given that the babies are not completely hairless and how big they are, I would guess they're more than a week old. I think their eyes open around 2 weeks, but I could just be guessing. I'm pulling it out from way back in my memory. Oh, peed on me. Lovely farm life. We got 7 fluffy bunnies with their eyes still closed. Here you go.